Alright, are you able to see me decently? I hope so. Today's video will be a bit different. I will not really edit this, because I don't know, I feel like a lot of content on YouTube nowadays is very edited and tries to get you to watch as much as possible of their videos, and they do all these editing effects, these cuts, effects, this and that, while just providing general advice, I suppose you could say. And this video will be kind of formatted in a, I suppose you could say, not dialogue because I'm talking to the camera and not getting any response back, but monologue type format. And I'll just be speaking my thoughts, kind of like an interview, without having any actual questions to me. And what I'll be saying in this video is hopefully very beneficial to all of you. And it's about essentially how you can start to actually take care of your life. And it's no generic advice. It's very straightforward and very simple. Yet it will require you to actually put down the work and take action. So, first of all, I don't promote nicotine or snus at all, but before we start, I'm gonna take a new prilla, som det heter. And this starts it off pretty good. I'm privileged enough to be addicted to a substance called nicotine. I'm privileged enough to be addicted to it. Not everyone has the privilege to be addicted to something so unnecessary such as nicotine. And just think of that. Like, this video will not be like practical tips or advice in order for you to become more productive. No, not at all. Definitely not. The aim with this video is essentially just to shake up your whole worldview. The fact that you're even able to watch this video tells me you're privileged as F. And so am I. I have a chair. I have a comfortable chair to sit in. I have a camera. This camera costs like $1,000. I have a microphone on top of it that costs another $100. That's a whole year's salary for some people. And yet, we humans, we complain about so much unnecessary stuff. For example, I don't know how old you are, but let's say you're around my age. You might have an argument with your parents about something super stupid. Yet you argue about it. Some people don't even have parents to argue with. Some older people don't have children to argue with. And of course, arguing, I suppose it's kind of natural. But at the same time, just think of it. You have a roof over your head. You most likely have food. You have decent water to drink. You have a couch. You probably have a TV. And yet you're complaining about your life. You're complaining that you don't have enough. You have everything you need in order to take your life serious and do what you need to do. Everything. Sure, you might not have every single accessory or equipment that you need or want, rather. Let me rephrase it. You might not have every single accessory or equipment you need, want. Yet again, I fail. That you want in order to do certain activity. But everything doesn't come for free. You still need to put down the work. Like, nothing comes for free. Unless you're born super rich and your parents haven't raised you properly. Because then they just give it to you. And in that case, you have even less to complain about, because then you're really privileged. So, How are you able to put down the hard work? How are you able to do those extra hours of studying, push that extra workout in each week? How are you able to walk every day, hit the gym, or do some form of exercise every day? Read, study, continue to develop your mindset, keep on learning, and just keep on progressing forward. So obviously, we all know you need to be disciplined, else you won't stay consistent. And motivation is a great factor, but you can't always rely on it. And one thing I've noticed that has come quite naturally for me is my mindset and worldview. Because me personally, my parents aren't the richest. I'm not poor. That's not what I'm saying. But I've grown up in a quite rich environment here in Sweden. Yet my parents are far, far from the socio-economic status of the people that I grew up around. Far from. And in some phases of my life, I've had it shitty. I'm not gonna lie. And that has automatically fueled me without even being really aware of it. And I've also kind of over-exaggerated my situation of how bad I had it. But in reality, I just compared to other people that had it far better than average, while I had it in Sweden a bit less than average. I didn't have it great in certain stages, but I definitely didn't have it bad as other people. Yet in my mind, I thought I did. But that also is like a form of gratitude. And once you actually start to be grateful for what you have, that's another type of discipline and obligation you start to have. Because if you know you have this and that, and you're actually able to do certain activities, you have internet, you're able to record something, you probably have a phone, you can start off with your phone and record whatever you feel like. Even then, you know that there's nothing really holding you back. As I said, people don't even have couches, and you complain you don't have the best camera to record a certain video or whatever. What I did, I worked, and I bought this. You really need to be more grateful of what you have. Because once you actually start to be grateful, everything will be so much easier. It will be easier for you to take action. It will be easier for you to be disciplined. You will have everything you need, aka the right mindset. Like, when I say everything you need, I don't specifically talk about every equipment and such that you need. The only one thing you need in order to succeed is your mindset, your mind. You need to think correctly. You need to be grateful of what you have. You need to take the right path. Stop being lazy. Stop being unprivileged. Or rather privileged. And just appreciate that you're even alive and have the ability to pursue whatever you want. That you're in the situation to even have the ability to complain about how shitty your life situation is while you have the opportunities to do what you want. And I'm not gonna call you ignorant because, yeah, most likely you are a bit ignorant, but I'm still not gonna call you ignorant. Because ignorant is when you're truly aware of the situation you're in compared to other people in this case, yet you still complain. But after you've finished this video and you still continue to complain and think as you did before, then you truly are ignorant. So yeah, I don't know exactly what I wanted to achieve with this video. All I know is if you've come this far in the video, it's a sign, and if you've actually watched throughout the entire video, it's a sign that you've probably already tried to like improve yourself. You've probably done some sort of dopamine detox, because every person that's watching this video is not able to stick through in this pace as I'm talking. They would require a lot of cuts, a lot of effects, like fast-paced talking. My fingers are a bit sweaty. Fast-paced talking, fast chops, fast cuts, a lot of effects to keep their attention. But if I've kept your attention, then I want to say that you have my respect already, because being able to just sit and watch, like in today's society, that is something, it's not as common as you might think. So yeah, one step ahead of a lot of people already. Like if you're able to watch this and just sit and watch, you're able to like basically not transcend, but transfer is the word I'm looking for. You're able to transfer that to other parts of your life as well. For example, if you're studying, you're able to actually look at the book, think, be patient with what you're doing, without just picking up your phone. Clock is this, 13:21. Maybe I should grab Snapchat, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I should look at Instagram. You're able to focus at the task at hand and not split up your mind. Splitting up your mind or procrastinating, it's detrimental to success. And I'm talking out of personal experience. Like, no bueno. When you split up your mind, instead of just giving 100% on one task, let's say you're given 20% at 5 different tasks. 20% on 5 different tasks will get you 20% of the outcome in all 5 different tasks, or whatever you want to call it. Thus, it will look like you're progressing way, way slower than you actually are, because you're putting down, or you are progressing slower. And then another thing, when you split up your mind, you're not even getting 20% of each respective task. In reality, you might be getting 10%, and that's 50% less in general. Because your mind, when you hop from one thing to another, you lose focus, you need to get into the flow again. You might not even reach a state of flow. All these different things. And I'm not gonna take full credit for recording this video, because I saw like a short of David Goggins, and he talked about why it's so easy to succeed nowadays. And it's because people are so lazy. They're weak. Like today's generation is just, majority of people are just failed as individuals. They don't do anything with their lives at all. Like, just if you're able to watch this video, either you're some sort of, and no offense to like what I'm about to say, but either you're like homeless, or you have some sort of disease, or you're just like an elderly person that's not used to social media, or you've begun your self-improvement journey and you've actually done a dopamine detox. And just that, like the last scenario, if you've done a dopamine detox, you've started to try to improve yourself, and you're able to watch this, that puts you ahead of like at least 90% of people already. And I know it might seem like vague of me to say this, but as I just said, you're able to transfer this this mindset of you being able to stick to one task in a slow pace without bombarding your mind with constant small like cues of dopamine. And that's good. But what I was about to say with David Goggins is, he said something in an interview, like a guy was interviewing him and said, oh, you have like no knee cartilage, you have shorts, and it's freezing cold outside, blah blah blah. And then he said something like this, or yeah, he kept on going, the interviewer then, and said, yeah, couch, wife, blah blah blah. And that was the time when David Goggins said, yeah, and that's the precise reason why it's so easy to succeed. And that motivates me, because I know if I just put down the work, I'll really make it. Because people nowadays, they don't do anything. They're so lazy, they're so privileged, unmotivated. So it's just easy. And yeah. Like the past recent days, I'm a bit guilty too. I'm using my phone certain times more than I should, because I've recently effed up my sleep schedule, and to stay awake I just look at my phone and blah blah blah, but then it distracts my mind. I get like overstimulated by bad types of dopamine. But I'm trying to just not use my phone, computer as much, and or if I do, at least doing it very mindfully. Just being able to, like, I don't know, sit and look at your room. It will allow you to process your old thoughts. I don't know, but if you sleep, or like when you go to bed, you've probably noticed that a lot of times a lot of thoughts pop up in your head, and it makes it harder for you to sleep. And it's those thoughts that aren't allowed to be processed throughout your days, essentially, because you're stimulating your brain with other stuff that isn't really important. So one, your brain doesn't have the time to actually process what's important. And two, you won't even be able to remember most of the things that you're stimulating your mind with, because the brain only has a certain capacity at once. And that's also another reason why social media is so detrimental to your like self-improvement. And it comes from, I think it was Atomic Habits, where the author, either way, he made the analogy, or is it, I think it's Atomic Habits, or it's, no, not Think and Grow Rich. Either it's The Compound Effect or Atomic Habits. And the author of either one, which is it was written in, he said that think of your mind like a glass of water. When you're not consuming any, now I'll rephrase it a little bit to make it more optimal for you to understand, but when you're not consuming like any social media, you're not watching like the thing that turns you on and then you stroke your meat, you're not watching TV constantly, and you're not essentially rewarding yourself with unnecessary dopamine and stimulus, that gives you a clean glass of water, a clean glass. But once you start to take all of these different elements of dopamine and unnecessary stimulus for your brain, it kind of pollutes it, I suppose you could say. Like the water starts to get shady, it starts to get darker, it starts to get polluted essentially, and groggy. I don't know if that's a word in English. It might be. But the water becomes not really drinkable, and the same goes for your brain. Everything you consume goes into your brain, and your brain becomes more foggy. You won't be able to think properly, which leads to worse results in a daily basis. And yeah, overall it just isn't good. And if you continue to do so, the water will be more polluted, and you'll need to start from scratch in order to basically clean it, or no, not clean it, just clean it. And to do so, yeah, don't make this same mistake again, essentially. So don't pollute your water again once you're clean. So after the dopamine detox, don't bombard your brain with everything unnecessary. And of course, your brain doesn't work like a glass of water. If you just abstain from all these unnecessary activities, your brain will start to clean itself. But yeah, you still get the point. What you consume, what you bring into your brain, is what comes out. Your ideas, your thoughts. So if you consume positive, educational, and inspiring knowledge, information, content, or whatever it is, that's what will come out. If you just sit and watch reality shows on Netflix, watch YouTube videos, watch TikToks, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, Twitter, that's what will come out of your brain. Nothing. And that's why it's so important to actually do a dopamine detox. Because once you're able to actually just sit with your thoughts without being able to without distracting yourself, rather, you process all these old thoughts of what's important, what your brain prioritizes. And yeah, it's really important, because let's say you have an idea, you want to do X, instead you do Y, which is scrolling social media, because your brain is foggy, you don't know how to think. But then once you start to take away all the dopamine, all of this, your brain will process X and remember that that's more important. It will be harder to do in the beginning, but it will be more rewarding. And if you actually do a dopamine detox, X will be easier to do, because even small amounts of dopamine will satisfy your brain. But once you're overstimulated with dopamine and all this shit, it will be harder for you to do the hard tasks for small amount of dopamine. So how social media and dopamine works is you're rewarding unless you already know, you're essentially just rewarding your brain with a lot of dopamine for nothing. You just scroll, you use your thumb to do this, and then your brain gets the dopamine hits. But in reality, if you would actually want like results and success, you would need to use your body and mind physically and mindfully on real tasks. So yeah. But back to the topic we started off with, just to remind you yet again. You're able to watch this video, that means you're very privileged already. You probably have a couch, you have food, you have a bed, you probably have some sort of heat in your room. You most likely have a phone, potentially a computer as well. And if you do so, you already have all the resources in order to start doing what you want to do. You can mindfully consume content on your phone or on your computer. If you have a phone and if you have a computer, you most likely have the money to buy a few books and start reading. Books are so underrated. And in the self-improvement industry, books might not be that underrated, but if you look at books from a world perspective, especially people my age, no one reads. everyone says I'm not a reader, I hate reading, blah blah blah, and I kind of was the same. I didn't like reading, and I didn't consider myself as a reader. And that's another thing covered in Atomic Habits, so I strongly recommend that you pick up Atomic Habits right after this video if you haven't already, because there he talks about how your identity like influences your behavior. So if you consider yourself as a non-reader, it will make it even harder for you to read. But if you consider yourself as a successful entrepreneur that strives to improve daily, yeah, it will make it easier for you to read because you're constantly out to look for more knowledge and to improve. And yeah, the end goal, money, that's not how you should look. Because if you just want money, that is the exact reason why you're probably stuck with your old beliefs about yourself. Because you don't change yourself just because you want money. You only change the like end outcome. But in reality, your end outcome should be changing up who you are. Because if you change up who you are, that will automatically give you the results that your end goal is. So if you already think you're a successful entrepreneur looking to improve on a daily basis, fit, meditative, mindful person, guess what the outcome will be? A tranquil mind, money, a lot of knowledge. So yeah, 26 minutes 45 seconds I've recorded now. I don't know how much I will cut out, if any at all, but yet again, remember that you have everything you need in order to start. And you should be grateful for what you have, because if you're even able to watch this, it means you're most likely pretty privileged. And that you're even able to be in the self-development industry, that also means you're pretty privileged. There's people out there that don't know about self-development because they don't have the resources to consume such content. But yeah, if you've watched this far into the video and you've watched everything, I don't know, leave a comment and say that you've watched everything. I'll reach out to you because I respect you, and I'm thinking of making like a private mastermind or something like that, either a Telegram channel or a Discord, I don't know, but it won't be open for everyone. That's, yeah, either way. If you made it this far, yet again, you have my respect, and thank you for watching. Until further, take care.